Leader's Edge,
where
learning is a never-ending
journey, limitless vistas. Good day. Welcome to the Leader's Edge. Today is Season 9, Episode 7, where we will be talking about early retirement. And our guest for today comes from a very, very interesting background, which he will be describing. He's an electrical engineer. His name is Engineer Lyndon MALANOG. Lyndon, welcome to the virtual stage.
Good day, everyone. I'm Engineer Lyndon MALANOG, a happy retiree and an early retiree. I actually retired at age 50 from my corporate job in the biggest electric distribution company in the Philippines. So that's around 5 years ago.
All right, so let's begin with the early years, Lyndon. What got you started on your journey as an electrical engineer? Like, did you always know you wanted to be one when you were still a young lad?
Not really. My first dream is not really to be an electrical engineer. I am really amazed when I go to church. So my first dream is to become a priest,
Oh,
to preach,
okay.
to advise people, to give lessons to people in a massive scale. That's my first dream, actually, to teach. When you're young, you actually changes. When people got to influence you and where are you currently exposed, your dream changes. So from being a priest, I hear a lot of music, so I wanted to become a band, a member of a band. And because of that dream, I actually studied music for 3 years. Every Saturday and Sunday, right after my Monday to Friday secondary school, I go to another place that's, I think, a 5 hours ride from our town just to study music on Saturdays and Sundays.
Wow.
And then I played the saxophone, but to my dismay, my father cannot afford to buy the saxophone when I graduated, and none of my relatives would buy me a saxophone. So that is a dream, not really fulfilled. So I stopped music and again shifted to dreaming of entering the Philippine Military Academy because I wanted to assert leadership at the time. So that's fourth year. I become the second lieutenant in the naval course. So, I wanted to become a military, to symbolize, assertiveness, leadership, and of course, sikat ang military doon sa probinsya or sa province. So, and then 2 weeks before I am supposed to fly to Manila to take the exam, I got sick. I got sick, and then that's my journey as an electrical engineer begins because when I tell my father, because PMA should be a scholarship grant. Because my father cannot afford to send me to college. So when I tell him, Papa, I wanted to go to college. Said, no, I can't afford to send you to college. If you want to go to college, you have to find a scholarship so that I can only afford your allowances. So I take a lot of scholarships and pass all of them as well. So I live, by the way, I'm from Larena, Siquijor, from the smallest island in the Visayas region. So I came from there. So I passed a lot of scholarship grants. When I left Siquijor, I am supposed to go to Cagayan de Oro City in Mindanao in order to study at Xavier University. Because
good school.
Xavier gives me full tuition fee coverage and an allowance. So at least my father will not be having problem looking for that extra amount for my allowance. So my trip is supposedly to go to Xavier, but when I dropped by illegal because the boat that will take me the first stop will actually be Iligan City. So I dropped by Iligan to meet my relatives, and then when I meet my relatives, they said, "Why go to Xavier? We are here. We can support you with your allowance. Why not go to Mindanao State University, IIT, Iligan, wherein you also pass the scholarship exam. Even though without the allowance, we can shoulder the allowance." So I end up in Iligan Institute of Technology, Mindanao State University for 3 years. So I take up the preparatory engineering there. After that, I moved to Cebu for the University of the Visayas. Because I came from Iligan, no other university will accept me because they said, that is during 1984-83. That is the time of the uprising and the rebellious culture of the Mindanao State University. So no other university in Cebu will accept me. I applied San Jose, San Carlos. They would tell me, "Oh, you came from a very notorious school." And Iligan is really very chaotic during that time. The main reason why I also transferred to Cebu because military is roaming around Iligan. There's a battle tank at the gate of Mindanao State University. Wow. So my father said, "You need to move out and study somewhere else." So when I arrived Cebu, I ended up with University of the Visayas. And that's where I finished my remaining 2.5 years of proper engineering and graduated as an electrical engineer. After that, I wanted to have, an actual experience in electrical engineering, and actually nobody would, no company would accept me because they would say, "Do you have any experience?" So I would always answer HR interviews. "How can I have an experience? You will not accept me as an employee. So you're always looking for someone with experience. I'm a newly graduate." So I ended up applying a lot of companies, and then I applied with Meralco actually. But because I'm a fresh graduate, I was, dropped down the list. So I worked with other companies for 2 years in the industrial electricity and robotics. It's a very good experience as well. I love that company as well. After 2 years, Meralco called me up again and he said, "We have another vacancy, but it's not engineering. It's junior training assistant." So,
okay.
oh my God. From electrical engineering, what will I do in training? I don't know anything about training. And then they said, "That's why you will be an understudy to be trained as a trainer. Your position will be a junior training assistant." And they, okay, why not try this? This is a different field. Maybe this is another calling. And that's where, by 1991, I ended up as a junior training assistant and worked my way up to become a training instructor in a matter of 5 years' time, as I am connected with the training and development, and then it was renamed to human resource development, something like that.
So
that's
Lyndon,
my journey, why I end up in HR and knowing some of the activities and attending some of the parties of PIMAC.
So Lyndon, it seems that you've had quite a journey because you started out having an idea of what you wanted, which was to serve God as a priest, as a preacher, and then moving from there into wanting to be a leader by joining the PMA, which got sidetracked, and then you became an electrical engineer. And yet, if you think about it, having listened to you, it seems to me that you still went with what you originally wanted, but in a different way. Because now that you became an electrical engineer, you became a leader. You rose to group head of the electrical and electronics group of the Hayama Industrial Corporation.
Yes.
And then from there, I suppose Meralco took notice of you.
Yes.
You became a supervising test engineer. And then because you ended up teaching people, which in many cases is very similar to what a priest does when he preaches. He educates people in the faith. So in some way you're using the skills that you would have wanted to use
Yes.
in a ministry towards people. So it's like the people that you taught became your sheep, and you their shepherd, but in a different way. And later on, you transition to becoming a financial wellness speaker and trainer. Now, that's something I want to explore a little bit, because from being a trainer, how did that shift to being a financial wellness speaker happen for you? Where did the fork in the road occur for you?
The shift actually happens when, you know, all employees, they would always look for a greener pasture, you know,
Yes.
a higher pay.
Mm-mm.
But as I see it, the target amount that I need to achieve as a pay or as an income would not really come as, you know, from a salary. Because
Mm.
even though how hard I will work, how good am I at my job, you
Mm.
know, that even though how close am I to the boss, even though I will receive the highest merit rating every year, I will
Mm.
not be able to send my two children to LaSalle.
Mm.
That's my hurdle actually. So the first solution I am thinking of is that while I'm working with Meralco
Mm.
to beef up my income, I sell everything. I started selling danggit pusit from Cebu. I,
Whoa.
I know, you know, pinapautang ko yan sa mga offices. I collect every 15 and 30, 1/4 kilo, 1/2 kilo, something like that. And then I sell candles pag araw ng patay. I sell candles pag araw ng patay. I go to Malabon to liwanag candle. I buy in bulk. I go to the cemetery and sell candles. Pag araw ng Valentine's, I sell flowers at the gate. And then during New Year, I go to Divisoria to buy fruits. You know, this Filipino culture and belief that good luck will come through you if you will complete all this bilog-bilog na all these round fruits. So
Yeah.
I buy all those round fruits, and you know what? It's a very good business on New Year only.
Yes.
It's always 200%. You know, you will double your capital right after New Year. So
Mm.
after that, we are thinking of, okay, how can we again add to our income? So I tell my wife, what is something that a person will consume even though he is happy or he is sad? So he said, okay, maybe we need to sell liquor, because a person will drink if he is sad, a person will drink if he is happy.
Ah.
So we apply for a distributor of Ginebra San Miguel, the bilog, the gin.
Yeah.
It's good money. So I buy a second-hand Fiera. I am the driver. I post the caratela. I deliver to stores. So, and then the product line expanded to beauty products, Chinchanchu, RDL, and then it expanded to Canton Bihon, Mantika. I deliver everything. So even though I'm an executive in Meralco, after 5 o'clock, I will remove my polo. I will drive my second-hand Fiera. I'll deliver to markets and customers. Every afternoon, I work until 11, 12 o'clock, midnight to do delivery. And then from retail, we expanded it to wholesale. So we opened our general merchandise store in Caloocan Market, while the SM there, the near SM there is still undergoing construction. So the sale is good, but I think we are killing ourselves because I think I only sleep for 4 to 5 hours, something
Wow.
like that. Because I live in Meralco Village in Binangonan, and my store is in Caloocan. So
Oh my goodness.
it was really far
Oh.
apart. So, and then my functions in Meralco from HR, I transferred to technical services, wherein I also act as an on-call engineer to attend to troubles on substations. So when there are brownouts, I'll be called at 1
Wow.
o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning. So it seems that, you know, doing all these things at the same time, I got sick.
Oh, okay.
The money is good, but I got sick.
Yeah.
I developed something like stress. I don't know. It's lack of sleep. You know, my performance in Meralco depreciated. Maybe it's really stress.
Mm.
So at that time, it's more of we have to balance spirituality, the business, the good money, and my career at the same time. And we were not able to go to church anymore.
Mm. Mm.
When all those things are happening, we
Mm.
failed to go to church on Sundays. We failed to do our regular Christian activities. I
Mm.
can't even go to celebrate Christmas and New Year because you cannot close
Mm.
the store if it's New Year and Christmas because people are
Mm.
lining up. And when I arrived in Rizal from Caloocan, it's already past Christmas. It's already past New Year's time. And
Mm.
I cannot celebrate my birthday. Money is good, but you know, I don't like that kind of life again.
Yeah.
It was a
If I
misdirection. It
may,
was doing all the same thing
yeah.
altogether.
If I may interject, Lyndon, it seems to me that at your core, you also have the heart of an entrepreneur. In other words,
Yes.
you were always looking for ways to augment your income, and it didn't matter which time of the year it was. You had a particular instinct for what would sell and what would be saleable, depending on which time of the year it was. So I have a feeling that if Rudy Velasco could weigh in right now, and if he were here in the room with
Rudy
us,
Velasco is one of my boss.
yeah, he was one of my colleagues in Dale Carnegie. We used to teach together that particular course. I'm sure that he probably would have uh, taken you by the shoulders and said, Lyndon, slow down. Relax a little bit, but to our viewers, let me just say that Lyndon's journey is very inspiring because you've just heard an example of how one man's determination to provide well uh, helped him overcome any obstacles, any hesitation, any self-doubt. This is a man who did whatever it took to provide for his family, and I'm sure his children are incredibly proud of him. So at this point in your life, Lyndon, having gone through so many experiences, and I'm sure if we go into each one of them, we will uncover some of your struggles, some of your pitfalls, some
Yes.
of the blessings, some of the kindnesses that you experienced. But probably there's some truth to the saying that it's not about working harder. Sometimes it's about working smarter. And that's
Yes.
where financial wellness or knowing how to manage your funds starts to come into the picture. Can you share with our viewers, people like you who are probably right now starting to feel sick? No, okay, pandemic aside, kahit walang pandemya, even if the pandemic weren't here, if you work yourself to the bone, ultimately, all of this will come back to bite you. So let's all listen to Lyndon tell us about how we can
The turning point.
manage, yeah, how we can manage our work, our life, and our health, and achieve what we call financial wellness. Because early retirement doesn't have to mean the end. Early retirement can simply mean a new beginning.
Yes.
So,
Early
Lyndon,
retirement is doing the things you love to do.
yeah.
That's it. Actually, the turning point when on this financial journey I have is that um, after all those, very stressful way of life that I
Mm.
have, we think of another solution like going abroad. So I
Oh.
applied for unemployment at GE Toronto because
Mm.
I once up, attend a seminar there. Meralco sent me there. So I
Cool.
applied unemployment. I was accepted. So I was given 6 months. to be there in Canada. And before that, I advised my wife, come, let's go to Canada. I want you to feel Canada. That will be our next home. So when we arrived there, we visited, my wife's relatives. But the surprising thing that, we realize is that we tell my wife's relatives that we wanted to migrate to Canada because we need more income. We cannot sustain the lifestyle that we want by having just the income in the Philippines. And then they tell us, you're telling us that you are not happy in the Philippines, but you can afford to pay your plane fare in going to Canada. And we noticed that many of our relatives there are also living from one paycheck to paycheck and using 2 or 3 credit cards. So I said, and then when I go home after 3 weeks of vacation in Canada, we are packing up our things, preparing to really, because everything is prepared. We have the $500,000 show money. We already talked to the children, and then there's just, an ads in email. I just was able to buy a book of Brother Bo Sanchez, Simplify and Live in Abundance. And then he's inviting us to attend the Truly Rich Club seminar in Verde. It's a half-day seminar first, and then I like it. And then I attended the 2 days financial coaching program, wherein all types of investment and savings legal in the Philippines is being discussed. So I tell my wife, I have 6 months to report to GE in Canada. Why can't we try this investment vehicles that Brother Bo is telling us? So I tried stocks, I tried a little bit of real estate, I tried mutual funds, I tried bonds. And then it's 2008, it's actually recession. The market during that time is actually at negative 55.
Wow.
And the market recovers. It hits September, negative 50. The market bounced back by December. From negative 50, 55, it bounced back to positive 60, 65.
Oh.
In a couple of months. And that's where I love investing, because our money was able to get the dip, and then it was able to get the highest return in a couple of 4 to 5 months. And I said, Mom, can we not just go to Canada and, focus on, doing the simple life that we have here? Maybe we can just simplify our life here and, continue with the savings and investing journey. And then Brother Bo tell me, Lyndon, you can help me educate Filipinos, financially educate them and guide them. And that's where the journey of becoming a financial wellness trainer begins.
Fascinating. It's true what you're saying about some people make it big in Canada. I know that Alvin Relieve, a friend, he used to be with STI, the computer school. When he migrated to Canada because of circumstances, he was able to make a go of it and became the #1 car dealer for Mitsubishi Motors in Canada in less than a year. And yet I also know of other people, like, for example, Ray Allen used to be with oh, my senior moment. But anyway, he took his whole family there and he tried to make a go of it. But after a year and a half, realized that it wasn't going to happen. So he came back to the Philippines and had to start from scratch. Your story is fortuitous in that you did not have to, in effect, take a gamble on going to Canada. You made a go of it right here by simplifying and by experiencing the bounty of planning carefully.
Yeah.
So, dear viewers, please, if you're listening to this, in the next few minutes, listen even more carefully, because I'm going to ask Lyndon, exactly how did that system work for you? Was it investing in stocks? Was it investing in real estate? How did you manage to take your money, turn it around, and in 4 months, make it really work for you?
Actually, in in order for me to give a clearer picture of our journey, I need to convey something like each and every one of us actually is going through the three financial stages. The first stage is that we call it man working for money. So we are working and then we are being paid for it. So you only have one source of income, and that is yourself, your effort, and then you get paid for it. That's stage one. Stage two is man, you, and your money working for you. That's second stage, wherein your effort plus your money in investments, in stocks, in bonds, in real estate, in businesses will also be working to give you more money. So in stage two, you now have two sources of income coming from your own effort, maybe as an employee, and then second, from your investments and other businesses. So you now have two streams of income coming into your life. The third stage is wherein, that is the ultimate goal of everyone, wherein you can stop working, or maybe you work, but not really for the purpose of earning the money to sustain your life, but you work because you love what you do. You love working. You love, this is now your passion. So this is now the third stage wherein you are no longer working, or if you are working, you're working because you love what you're doing, but plainly, you don't need the income from the work to sustain your life, because third stage is more of money working for you. Your investments, your businesses is more than enough to sustain your needs as a retiree. And retirement is not being dictated by age. It's dictated by the amount of savings and investment and businesses that supports you during your golden year. So the failure of many Filipinos is on stage two. The execution part, the transition stage, wherein you are working for money as an employee, but you have to set aside some money to make this money work for you in the form of investment, interest income, real estate, and other small businesses. That is the failure, because a lot of people doesn't get into stage two, the transition stage. That's what we are actually solving for many Filipinos.
And what you're saying has resonance with one of the guests that we had previously in one of our earlier seasons, Lima Nalaysay, who also talked about financial wellness. But in her case, it was really more like the big picture of it. I love the fact that you are now discussing some of the more on the boots aspect of financial wellness. No? So I like the way that this is giving good ideas to our viewers, to our listeners, that it doesn't matter how little you have, everything great started small. And so now I'd like to ask Lyndon, given our current situation right now, where everything is volatile, uncertain, what else does it's chaotic or ambiguous, right? The VUCA world, right? I forgot exactly what VUCA meant, but the point being, everything requires agility on our part. So, Lyndon, what would you recommend for somebody who is contemplating retirement and may have at least a decent nest egg to use? And for most people, it'll probably end up in time deposit, and then they'll decide I'll just survive off of the interest, and not never touch the amount.
Yeah.
Which is, of course, an unwise thing to do, because in Tagalog we say natutulog yung pera, or money is sleeping. So
Yes.
what would you give us advice for people who may have enough to get things going?
Yeah. Okay. Now, if we talk about retirement, it's not just about money. When you plan for your retirement, but plan it ahead of time. You know, you don't plan for retirement and then you will retire next year. No, retirement is a lifelong process.
Yeah.
Now, to plan for retirement, there are two major items that you have to think of and to plan very carefully. The first item is, what will you do when you retire? This is very important. What will you do when you retire? Will you be engaged on something that will, you know, make you jump out of bed every day? What will make you excited every day to wake up and to go on and to go out there, and, you know, something like a mission, something like retirement is to do your passion, what you really love doing. Because if you plan to retire because you're tired of your boss, you're tired of the traffic every day and going to work and going home, if that, and then you want to rest for the rest of your life, if you want to retire because you wanted to rest, mind you guys, if you think like retirement is sleeping under the mango tree 28 hours a day, I will tell you, your life will be shortened. You will not even reach 5 years after retirement. You'll be dead. Because you'll feel useless, you'll feel unwanted, you will lose your sense of purpose and meaning in life. Remember, retirement is merely a redirection towards doing the things that you love to do. So think of it. What will you do when you retire? Will you engage yourself into farming or plantito or plantita? That is the first thing. What will you do? What will make yourself busy with? Something like, you know, retirement is also about giving back to the community, giving back to the society. But the problem is that, what will you give back if you yourself is lacking? So if you cannot give something you don't have. So if you want to give back during retirement, you should be yourself, be blessed as well. So that's the first item. What will you do? Second item is, are you qualified to retire? Do you have enough savings to last maybe until 85 years old? Because science is already here. Life expectancy is actually longer nowadays.
Yes.
Before, you know, you live until 70 or 75. Today, people are living 85, 90. My father died at 85 years old just this year. My mother died at 84. So I'm expecting, with the current healthy conditions that we have, maybe we will reach 90 or 95. You retire at 60, that is 30 years from retirement. Now,
yeah.
that's expensive. If you will compute, come on guys, 100 pesos per meal times 3 meals a day, 300 pesos a day. Let's say you will live until you're 80 years old, times 20 years, that's 2.1 million pesos. So do you have 2.1 million pesos for your food alone for the next 20 years of your life? So savings, what will you do? Second, do you have enough savings, a monthly income, maybe in perpetuity, so that you will not become a burden to your children? So an income, but this will depend on the lifestyle that you are planning to have when you retire, but this should be something that you will be earning and receiving every month. Because if you will just depend on your SSS and GSIS, maybe SSS, I'm contributing the maximum contribution when I'm still an executive in Meralco, and as I see, I will only be receiving around 10 to 15,000 a month. SSS pension divided by 30 days in a month, I will only be allowed to spend 500 pesos a day. So if you only depend on SSS, how can you live with 500 pesos a day?
Ladies and gentlemen, please listen to Lyndon's words of wisdom carefully, because Lyndon hasn't even mentioned the maintenance medication that at that age, most of you are likely to require. Now, what he just mentioned, that the 500 pesos, is not even enough to cover your medication, let alone your food. So, Lyndon, do go on, because this is important. People need to know.
Yes, you know, you try buying a medicine in Mercury Drug, and then
Yeah.
you listen to all those retirees when
Mm.
they withdraw their pension in land bank.
Mm-mm.
You know
Yes.
what their comments are? Ano ba yan? Yung pension natin, pagdaan mo ng Mercury Drug, kulang pa.
Yes.
You see, the greatest expense of retirees
Mm-mm.
is maintenance medicine,
Yeah.
health
Yeah.
care expenses when you retire.
Mm.
Remember that when you retire, health and wealth are
Mm.
inseparable. Hindi pwedeng paghiwalayin yung health at saka wealth. Why?
Mm-mm.
Because you need wealth to maintain health when you are a
Mm.
retiree. That's
That's
part
true.
of life. You
And
need good food, you need nutritious
yeah.
food, you
Mm-mm.
need maintenance medicine, you need your annual checkup,
Mm.
you need,
Yeah.
and of course, retirement. Where will you live? What will
Mm.
be the cost of your living expenses every day? And of course,
Mm.
if you retire, you have to also set aside a budget for, you know, traveling, getting out there, meeting
Yeah.
people,
Yeah.
going to places. Because
Mm.
if you guys, you just observe in our barangays and villages,
Mm.
there are a lot of retirees that when you go to work in the morning, you will notice these retirees, they're sitting on a stall beside the road outside the house, right?
Mm.
And then when you go home late in the evening or late in the afternoon, you will see the same retirees sitting on a bench outside, beside the road outside the house.
Mm.
Do you know these retirees are? They are still able. I call
Mm.
them volunteer timekeepers of our barangays and villages. Why volunteer timekeepers? Because they are not get paid. And the
Mm.
best person to know kung sinong nakaalis na at sinong nakauwi na from work are these people.
Yeah.
They don't have the
Watching the
budget
world.
to go out there to visit places or even visit their children in Mindanao or in
Mm-mm.
Visayas or abroad.
Mm-mm.
So if you want to become a blessing to the country, to your children,
Mm-mm.
when you retire, you've got to have more than enough savings to sustain your life and become a blessing to your children. May panahon
Mm.
pa eh. If, I
Mm.
mean, 1 peso, 100 pesos a day you set aside. That is
Yeah.
3,000 in a month.
Yeah.
Even 1,000 a month.
Mm.
After 36 years, that will become millions.
That's true.
So it's just that, you know, those small things, small savings that I tell you, 100 pesos every payday, you've got to start setting aside something. Because remember that our life, the life of our money should be longer than our own life.
Yes.
Dapat mas mahaba ang buhay ng pera natin kaysa sa atin. Kasi pag naunang naubos yung pera natin bago ang hininga natin, malaki ang problema natin. Magiging pabigat tayo sa ating mga anak. And you wouldn't want that your children will be buried in death because they are paying for your ICU room. You will not want that your children will be buried in death in buying your maintenance medicine. So all these things should be prepared from your food, from your living expenses, from your healthcare coverage, even up to your burial lot. Dapat ikaw maghanda niyan para planchado, pati interment mo, wala nang gastusin ang mga anak mo. Then, that is the time that you can call yourself, you are indeed a blessing to the next generation.
Lyndon, something which has become quite a trend and a buzzword these days as far as financial investments are concerned is what is called cryptocurrency.
Yes.
What would you care to say about this particular trend?
I'm still in the process of studying crypto. I've been attending seminars about crypto. My problem is that I'm an old school. And my principle is that I don't want to get into something that I really don't understand. My son has cryptocurrency account. He's also teaching me. But something that you own. Cryptocurrency is you're owning something and you don't even have a solid proof that you own that something.
Yeah.
Like today, you can even buy real estate, but it's not real estate. It's just a picture in the
Oh
in the
yeah,
computer.
they call
Yeah,
that an NFT.
NFTs,
Yeah, they
something
call it
like
an
that. So
NFT.
I'm trying to digest it. I'm trying to adjust my conscience because at the moment, I've been attending a lot of seminars already. I can't fathom it yet. But don't worry, I'll be getting into crypto. But right now, I'm still enjoying with my bonds. I'm
Yeah.
enjoying with my stocks. I'm enjoying with my mutual funds. I'm enjoying with the coverage of the insurance that I have. I'm enjoying with the healthcare coverage that I have. I'm trying to set up all the investment safety nets. And I love my stock portfolio today because I'm buying very discounted blue chip stocks during this time. I mean, these blue chip stocks I buy today at around 30% of its real value. So why not buy? So just following the principles of Warren Buffett, wherein, be fearful when the market is greedy. So just do your cost averaging and be greedy when the market is fearful. Today, the market is fearful. That's
Yeah,
why
yeah.
instead of, you look for the midnight sale and 50% discount on malls, go for the 50% discount in the stock market, because today it's really good to buy good companies at a very discounted rate. Because whether you like it or not, this pandemic will be over, the war in Ukraine will be over, and when everything will be over, when the trend will go sagad sa ilalim, there's no way but up. Just
That's
like what
right.
happens in the past recession, the flu virus, and all those recessions, the global recession, it will not stay that long below. Tough situations will never last, but tough people will.
So, Lyndon, how did you go about making your stock investments? Did you do this using your own efforts, or did you work with a broker?
At first, I did not go to direct stocks right away. I go to managed funds. When I started my journey, I go to managed funds. Through mutual funds, I participated in many of the big fund management companies in the Philippines. We have many, very trusted fund management companies in the Philippines. But, building wealth is also, there's also, a steps in building wealth. Before you go into stocks or bonds or mutual funds, first and foremost, you have to secure the investment safety net. So you have to have ample insurance. What if you die tomorrow? Who will support your family? So, I mean, a lot of people in the Philippines doesn't understand that they don't like insurance because they say that they cannot get anything out of insurance. Of course, insurance is not for you. Insurance is about continuing your responsibility to your family even without you present. Because whether you are alive or 6 feet below the ground, your responsibility to your family is still your responsibility. And you have to fulfill that responsibility whether you're alive or not. Just think of it this way, that when you build wealth, just make sure that even if you are dead, your family will go on living at a very comfortable level. So that's very important. And you can only achieve that through insurance. Insurance, I call it income replacement. Somebody working for you to support your family even without you being present. So once you are dead, your family should survive in the next 3 to 5 years, even without you supporting them. That's one of the safety net. The second important safety net is healthcare.
Yeah.
It's very important. A healthcare coverage is very important. Why? Because health is your greatest wealth and greatest capital in building wealth. If you're sickly, you cannot build wealth. So, and there are in our market and in every person, we need two types of healthcare. This is very tricky. One is the short term. This is the healthcare wherein you can use it, outpatient, in and out. And this healthcare coverage will cover you until you are 60 or 65 years old. Depending upon the coverage, something like ours today is 190,000 per illness per year. And I'm paying for 4 of us, I'm paying around almost 10,000 a month. If I don't get sick, there's no return. That's a short-term healthcare. But for me, it gives me peace of mind that even though I travel around the world, my children got sick, they have a card. All they have to do is to show that card in any major hospital, and they can be admitted and they can be treated. Or, that's peace of mind for me. And then second healthcare is the long-term healthcare, because a short-term healthcare will only cover you until you're 60 or 65. So while you are still young and short-term healthcare is covering your expenses, you have to set aside something for your long-term or retirement healthcare. This will be put in a bond, a fixed income investment instrument that will give you around maybe 7 to 10% per year, and it will accumulate and build up. So by the time that you are 60 or 65, short-term healthcare, even though you are willing to pay, they will no longer cover you. So they will let go of you. This is the time that your long-term healthcare is fully matured in terms of millions. So you will dip into wherein you will be needing maybe major heart surgery, dialysis. So this is now the money that will support your medical expenses. So that's 2 types of healthcare, and we already have that for me and my wife, and even for our kids. I have already secured that for our kids. So, and then after that, once you set up your insurance, and of course your healthcare, and of course you insured your house, you insured your car. You don't drive your SUV. If your SUV is 1.5 or 2 million, the insurance coverage for that should be comprehensive. It should be 1.5 million. So if your SUV is 1.5 or 2 million, the driver, the owner, should be more than that. So my SUV is insured for 1.5 million. I'm insured for 5. So I make sure of that the driver and the owner is more valuable in terms of insurance coverage than the car that you are driving, or than the house that you are living into, because you're the breadwinner. You are the one that supports the family. So after all these investment safety nets are being set up, then it's time for you to go a little riskier. You go into bonds, mutual funds. It's a managed fund. Mutual fund is a managed fund. So you don't have to take a look at the market every day. There are fund manager experts who will do that for you. So I started that way as well. I diversify my investment in, like, for example, if we talk about Metrobank, Metrobank has its own asset management. That's First Metro Asset Management. But a lot of people doesn't know that the asset management company of the Metrobank group of companies give higher interest than the bank itself. So that's also tricky. So you have to understand these things. And then if you are already well versed on managed fund, but I still maintain my managed funds even up to now. And then I now manage my own portfolio on a platform that, you pay some initial amount, and then you buy stocks, and then if you feel like you wanted to gain to get the income, you can sell them. So, but it's very hard to do direct stocks if you are still employed, because before, when I'm still with Meralco, I'm very angry with my some of my engineers in my office, but they are doing stock trading during office hours. So you can't do that, because Meralco paid you to work and to give the output that we need. You know, to stock trading during office hours, or I will fire you. So for me, if you're employee and you're busy, managed funds is good. I mean, managed funds give me at least 2008, 2009. Managed funds give me at least 12 to 15% interest a year. It's a good building investment instrument as well.
What advice would you give to people who run into attitudes that are so pervasive in our society, such as, for example, why are you talking about insurance? You're so morbid. Why are you talking about death? We have no plans on dying anytime soon. And then when you try to explain to them that, hey, when you die, you won't believe how fast the government locks all of your assets because it
That's
wants
true.
you to pay the taxes, the estate tax, the
Yeah.
inheritance tax, and all
Yes.
that. And if you have no access to those assets, then how can you pay for those taxes? So it's a catch 22. So w- how do you propose we can say, for example, help change that very flawed mindset among our countrymen?
Yeah. Actually, um, the Filipino culture, when many Filipinos actually hate insurance, is that I think it's also attributed to a lot of many insurance policies that are lapsed. It was not being paid, then the policyholder died, and then the family wanted to claim the proceeds. They were not able to claim because the policy is lapsed. Now, the policy is lapsed. The policyholder doesn't care if he pays on time or not, because the policyholder itself, himself or herself, doesn't fully understand what's the purpose of insurance. That's where financial education should be expounded into that area as well. That's why I tell people when I talk about insurance is that death is inevitable. Death is not a question of if you're going to die or not. Death is merely a question of when are you going to die and how are you going to die. We don't own our life. God owns our life, and God can take it any time of the day. But you have to understand that every person has two major responsibilities. Our first responsibility is our responsibility to our family. Now, this responsibility is very tricky because you have to provide for your family whether you're dead or alive. That's where insurance comes in. The second responsibility is the responsibility to ourselves. So while you are helping and supporting your family, you have to set aside something as well for yourself, because our children are our responsibility. That's a fact of life, that we need to give them a better future, send them to school, send them to college, assess them on their journey. Our children is our responsibility. But when we get old, we are not the responsibility of our children. Hashtag, our children, no matter how wealthy are they are not our retirement fund. We have to set aside something for ourselves so that we can live a worry-free and comfortable retirement life ahead. And that is the second responsibility that I'm talking about. We need to set aside for ourselves. Hindi pwedeng tulungan mo na lahat, pati pamangkin mo, paaralin mo na, pero in the end, nakalimutan mo magtabi para sa sarili mo. And many overseas Filipino workers are like that. They support the whole plan. They failed to set aside something for themselves. By the time that they are retiree and can no longer work and earn the money that they need, all those people na tinulungan nila cannot also help them back in return. And that's very sad.
That's true. Although I find it odd sometimes that the very same people who seem averse to getting life insurance because, I don't know, we could say in Tagalog, they call it a pamahiin. Why would you prepare for death? And yet, those same people do invest in memorial plans.
Yeah.
Which which is kind of strange for me because
Indeed.
they don't like life insurance, but they're open to getting the proper burial plans for themselves. I mean, strange
It's
dichotomy.
odd. It's odd because they wanted to prepare for St. Peter, but they are not preparing the journey before they will end up with St. Peter. Because before they will use St. Peter, they will use St. Luke's. And that is far more expensive.
Yeah.
And if they die in St. Luke's,
Mm.
they might be leaving a mountain of medical bills. And who will
Mm.
pay for it?
Yeah.
That's
They're
where
yeah.
health insurance and life insurance will come in,
Mm-mm.
because that is how you become a blessing to your children, by not passing on the responsibility of paying the bills to your own children. Because if we will not cut the poverty cycle in our own generation, it will be passed on to the next generation and to the next. Wala pong katapusan yan. So, as responsible parents, we really have to put an end to the poverty cycle in our own generation by becoming more responsible, by setting aside something to support the family, whether we are alive or dead, and by also setting aside something for ourselves so that we will not become a burden to our children when we retire.
So, Lyndon, looking now at, say, our newlyweds, those who are just starting out their career, about to build their families, and a lot of millennials and Gen Zers, sometimes when I talk to them, they talk about the difficulty they have in planning for the future, in being optimistic about what is to come. What advice could you share with them, especially the young ones, so that they're not so filled with depredation?
Yeah, for the newlywed, many newlywed people takes 2 years to plan for the wedding, but they failed to plan what will they do after the wedding. So they take so much time planning for the wedding, they even hire a wedding planner, but they never plan how to go on with their life after the wedding, which is the more important thing to do. I mean, if you're newlywed, don't get into the culture of, buying your own house right away. Because this is quite tricky, because for the Filipino culture, a new house is a symbol of pride and success. It's a symbol of, credibility that you already own a house. But guys, we know this from Robert Kiyosaki. A house is not an asset. It's not giving you income. It's not an asset. Even though in accountancy, the house is listed on the asset column. But technically, a house is not an asset because it's not producing an income. Maybe the lot is appreciating, but the house itself is depreciating its value. So don't buy a house yet. If you can squeeze in, if you have a good relationship with your parents, stay with them. You save a lot of money for rent. the savings, instead of renting, you invest that, you save that. Take it from me, because I also commit the same mistake when me and my wife started many years ago. After the wedding, we buy a house right away. And then the rest of the amount, I file a housing loan in SSS. But surprisingly, when I computed that, it's affordable, right? Nobody could contest that SSS housing loan is affordable. But when I computed that, when I already learned about finances, my initial loan amount in SSS is only 150,000 back 1996. After 15 years of payment, you know how much I paid in SS? From 150,000, I paid a total of 700,000. Affordable. But think of it. If the monthly amount that I paid in SSS, and I just invested that maybe in a bond or a mutual fund earning 10% a year, after 15 years, I could have around 7 to 8 million pesos. With that amount, I can buy a brand new house and lot in a very good village here in Santa Rosa. That is delaying gratification. This is the key. The key to wealth building is to delay gratification. Ipahuli ang pagporma. Ipahuli ang kayabangan. Kasi pag porma ka ng porma, wala naman laman ang bulsa mo, ang kotse mo, utang, kalahating milyon, pero ang nakasakay, kahit insurance na 1,000,000, wala, undervalued ka. Di ba? So, walang dapat ipagmayabang kasi yung coaching yan, hindi sa'yo yan. Ang pagmamayari niyan, bangko. Di ba? Hanggang hindi mo na fully paid yan, wala kang right sa coaching na yan. Kaya wala ka dapat right na pumorma. Dapat mas malaki ang yaman kaysa sa yabang. But normal Filipino, inuuna ang forma, kaya nagiging mas malaki ang yabang kaysa sa yaman. That will put you down. That is not delayed gratification. My first car is a 1980 Toyota Tamaraw, where I used to deliver goods. I buy it in cash for 80,000. After using that for more than 10 years, I buy again another second-hand car. It's a Toyota Corolla, the 1990 Toyota Corolla, a small body. Until now, it's still running. I just changed the engine. And then I'm trying to refurbish it. And that's why I'm delaying gratification, because I'm putting so much money into my investment portfolio. And then back 5 years ago, that's where we bought our first SUV worth 1.5 million. And we just put in a $500,000, and then we let the interest of our investment take charge of the monthly mortgage from the bank. So delaying gratification is really the key. Delay gratification. That's the key to really wealth building. So don't buy a house yet. Stay with your parents as long as you can. Maybe you can just contribute to the grocery. You save a lot of money and build up your portfolio, build up your investment. And then, kunting tiis lang, maybe in 10 to 15 years time. Because if you put in around 5,000 a month, maybe in 10 years time, you'll be able to accumulate at 10 to 12% per annum. You'll be able, in 15 years time, you'll be able to accumulate at least 3 or 4 million. That will not bad. Then that will be earning around 10% per annum. That will give you something really for retirement.
Lyndon, just a quick word from you on, say, the perniciousness of credit cards. I mean, I'm sure you probably have some words of advice about those as well.
Yeah. My word of advice on top of discipline, you have to really discipline yourself and delay gratification, is that do not be tempted to say, next year na ako mag-start. I'll start saving and investing when my son gets out of this world, when my son would finish college, when my son would finish high school. Don't do that. The longer you prolong going into stage 2, man and money working for you, you are losing a lot of time and you are losing a lot of experience. So whether you are ready or not, find a way to move into stage 2, find a way to set aside something every payday so that that money that you set aside can give you interest or can give you other sources of income. Don't make excuses now, because the longer you delay your saving and investing journey, the bigger the amount of money that you will be needing in the future to hit your target goal. So if you think financial education is a waste of time, try ignorance. You will be losing a lot of millions in your lifetime. Take time to read books. Take time to attend seminars. Take time to, instead of watching teleserye and teledrama, watch YouTube videos, educational videos, that can help you grow as a person, that can realign your values towards the thing that you wanted to achieve in this life. So for that, I hope that, this segment of this interview, I hope that I was able to impart a part of my life to all of you. And I hope that, you could also share whatever you learn from this video to your family, friends, and to others as well. Thank you, and God bless all of you.
Oh, thank you. The thanks should be from us, Lyndon, because though you may not have become Father Lyndon or Father Malanog, as far as we're concerned, you are still fulfilling your ministry of helping people by giving them very practical advice. So on behalf of my fellow hosts here on the Leader's Edge, thank you so much for sharing us your valuable time. And we do look forward to inviting you in future seasons, future episodes, especially if you have like an ongoing event or an update to your particular topic. So on that vein, Lyndon, are there any upcoming events that you'd like to promote or mention while we're here?
Actually, I'm waiting for HR's decision, learning and development of Meralco's decision to if we can if they are agreeable to the terms and conditions that were actually talked about, and we will run again the financial wellness program on my previous company, but it's quite a heavy task right now. There are already a lot of problems involved. And of course, we are actually open. I have a pool of trainers. That's why we are also doing our regular webinars. We have Mondays, we have Mutual Fund 101. Wednesday, we have Personal Finance 101. Thursday, we have Entrepreneurship 101. Friday, we have Personal Finance 102. And then Saturdays, we discuss different types of healthcare, Healthcare 101. And of course, we are also open if you would like to invite us to talk via Zoom or via face-to-face in your company.
Wonderful. So, Lyndon, how would people find you just in case they wish to invite you in their shows or they wish to have you speak before their organization?
Actually, they can email me at donlen.malanog@gmail.com. So para donlin.malanog@gmail.com, or they can just message me in Facebook. My Facebook account is Don Malanog. I also have an FB page wherein I usually post my videos, my training videos. That is the loss of financial independence. They can message me there, and of course, just maybe a quick is that Viber, Messenger. They can call me, or I'm a retired person, so I'm just at home. Making buting-ting, run with my dog every morning, drinking coffee, zipping it, I'm savoring its aroma. Yeah, I eat breakfast for an hour, I'm not already in a hurry, This is really the reward of retiring early is the luxury of time. The time to drink your coffee very slowly so that you can savor its aroma, the time to run with your dog, the time to watch a movie along with your spouse, everything. We are already planning our travel to the US next year. They're planning. So that is the reward of becoming wealthy. The reward of financial independence is not really money. It's about time, the availability of time, that you can spend the time you want to the people you care the most. So, yun lang po. You can keep in touch with me in Facebook. Don Malanog. That's my name.
Don Malanog. Okay. So, Don, I'd like to also let you know that your words have resonance with one of our guests. That's Carol Esguerra Colborn, who calls retirement cruising. So instead of retirement, she cruises now. So, ladies and gentlemen, please, if you like this particular episode and if you picked up some really useful pointers, would like to encourage you to click on the like, share, and subscribe button. And to let you know, on Season 9, Episode 8, we'll be having Conrad Pereras as our guest, who will be talking about building a well nation, living a life that matters. And so, ladies and gentlemen, always remember that learning is a never-ending journey with limitless vistas. Good day.
Good day, everyone.